Hi there. Fans of classic rock, especially Led Zeppelin, are aware of the significance of each band member in creating the group's distinctive sound. However, we're concentrating on two important musicians today, drummer John Bonham and bassist John Paul Jones. Fans have been curious about these two rock artists' actual behind-the-scenes activities for decades. Up until recently, John Paul Jones has largely kept quiet about his affiliation with Bonham. When he eventually opens up, you'll be astounded by what he is sharing about Bonham. You won't want to miss a second of what you're about to hear, some startling facts regarding the relationship between these two well-known singers, so make sure you watch this video all the way through. First, let's recap what Led Zeppelin looked like in the late 1960s. With a sound that was louder, stronger, and more passionate than anything listeners had ever heard, the band burst into the music industry, and the distinctive drummer John Bonham was at the heart of that sound. His booming percussion defined the music rather than merely keeping it going on songs like Moby Dick and When the Levee Breaks. Bonham had a fierce, primal, and very technical drumming approach. He was generating the band's pulse, not merely maintaining time. A man who lived life on the edge, however, was behind the powerful drummer, and his intensity was sensed offstage. Some odd and very intimate thoughts regarding his time with Bonham have been given by John Paul Jones, the modest and reticent pianist and bassist for Led Zeppelin. However, everything wasn't sunshine and rainbows. Jones described Bonham as a challenge as well as a help. Although Led Zeppelin's drumming contributed to the band's fame, his violent and erratic actions frequently caused conflict within the group. Bonham, according to Jones, was a man of opposites. He was a strong, accurate, and unstoppable force on stage. But away from the stage? On occasion he can be erratic, impetuous, and challenging to manage. There were sometimes disputes in the band because of Bonham's irascible demeanor and unrelenting quest for genius. Jones acknowledged that rehearsals occasionally got so crowded that they nearly fell apart. Robert Plant, in particular, found it difficult to cope with Bonham's intense rage and his exacting standards. Most of the time, who is in charge of mediating disputes? Yes, that's John Paul Jones. Jones remembered that Bonham's perfectionism could be suffocating during rehearsals. His unwavering desire to have everything just right frequently pushed his bandmates to the edge. Despite the fact that his drumming was unparalleled in strength and technique, Bonham's strict demands were draining for Robert Plant, a more spontaneous artist. Jones found himself torn between Bonham's extreme perfectionism and Plant's easygoing demeanor. It was a difficult setting. Jones acknowledged that he frequently had to intervene to diffuse awkward situations before they turned into full-fledged explosions. However, Bonham's disagreements continued after that. He also occasionally had a tense relationship with the band's demanding and frequently domineering guitarist, Jimmy Page. The two often battled in the studio due to Page's meticulous nature and perfectionist habits. These would soon turn into furious disputes about insignificant things like drum configurations or tempo adjustments. Page's cool-headed yet commanding manner only served to aggravate Bonham, who detested being told what to do. These instances were like walking on a knife's edge, according to Jones. The strain beneath the surface was as obvious as the band's chemistry. Although they were a family, there were moments when their arguments were so intense that it looked as though they could break up. Bonham's power battles went beyond the band, Jones disclosed. He had trouble following orders from crew, management, and even producers. There were times when his strong sense of individuality made him challenging to collaborate with. But Jones's explanation of Bonham's battle with alcohol was perhaps the most upsetting aspect of his remarks. Led Zeppelin's tour was marked by sold-out venues, thunderous applause, and an exciting sensation of unstoppable strength. However, Bonham's problems were also exacerbated by that unrelenting speed. He became famous because of his drinking binges, but not for the proper reasons. Often, what began as joyful drinking descended into mayhem. When the band was on tour, Jones recalls that they would begin the evening laughing and having a wonderful time, but toward the end of the night, tensions would increase. Alcohol-fueled Bonham's erratic mood swings have the power to transform a happy occasion into something far unpleasant. According to Jones, Bonham's destructive behavior went beyond simple rebellion. It was a request for assistance. Beneath the exaggerated rock star facade, there was a man who was finding it difficult to handle the obligations and pressures of being a rock star. On occasion, Bonham would open out to Jones about his vulnerabilities and anxieties, but those were infrequent occurrences. Most of the time, Bonham would hide behind his bravado because he was either unable to face his issues head-on. Jones told a story about the toll Bonham's lifestyle inflicted on his family that stands out among the others. Even though Bonham loved his family very much, his drunkenness and erratic behavior strained their relationships. Jones recalls times when Bonham was angry and felt remorse for the impact his actions had on his family. However, despite his best efforts, Bonham was unable to escape the destructive cycle. Nevertheless, Bonham's genius was undeniable despite all the mayhem. His drumming was not only superb but also creative. According to Jones, Bonham's drumming was the main factor that allowed Led Zeppelin to reach the height of rock music and the main driver of the band's success. Every beat and fill had a passion and accuracy that few drummers could equal. His devotion on perfection also contributed to the band's success, despite the challenges. But the cost of that brilliance was tremendous. The band was heartbroken by Bonham's premature death in 1980, which also marked the end of Led Zeppelin. Because of his instability and struggles with addiction, Jones observed that he was a man who was both a gift and a challenge. His unique genius came with equally remarkable challenges. Last but not least, John Paul Jones's candid remarks regarding John Bonham are a poignant reminder of the challenges that come with genius. In addition to being a drummer, Bonham was a force to be reckoned with. Because of his drumming, Led Zeppelin's music rose to fame, but his personal struggles had a lasting impact on everyone in his vicinity. Jones gives us a glimpse into the human side of a rock artist who was both extraordinary and terribly flawed through his anecdotes. How do you feel about the revelations made by John Paul Jones about John Bonham? Did you find his sharing surprising? Kindly leave a comment with your thoughts. Remember that all legends have human backstories, filled with triumphs and failures. We appreciate you viewing, and we hope to see you again soon for more untold rock roll stories.